Why do we tolerate medical staff like nurses and doctors being overworked/not getting enough sleep when they need to be in decent shape to take care of others? The other option is not having enough doctors and nurses at the hospital. You ask the same question that's been asked in Eli 5 2 hours before you. Why do we tolerate any employee being overworked? Because an overworked employee is more profitable than two employees with a reasonable amount of work. And profit is more important than human happiness. Because being a nurse or a doctor is a highly varied field. Some doctors and nurses might be overworked, but I work in a hospital and in most departments there are twice as many nurses as is needed doing jobs that a monkey could do. With some updated tech and some proper administrators, the NHS could easily be vastly improved, but the problem with that is suddenly you either have lots of nurses you don't need or lots of people on unemployment, UK-based BTW. Part of the answer is supply and demand. Not only is it difficult to become a doctor, but many choose specialties that do not involve horrible working hours. This leaves the vulnerable ones, interns, residents, and on-call institutional docs to fill the breach. As for the typical rejoinder, let's just train more doctors ! And quote. I'm not too sure that I want the standards reduced. What is the best advice you have received from another man? My dad said work smart, not hard! And quote. In other words, don't be the sucker that is stuck in a rut slaving away on something that moves them forward slowly when all you need to do is think a little harder and go a different route and you can achieve the same goal but faster. Or you'll be less tired. Or you may decide that you simply need to shift the goal a little because you were thinking the end goal is different than what it would actually be. Less is more was once told me during a shift during an internship as a sound engineer. The engineer meant to say that up to a certain point less use of effects and no extreme eking unless necessary made the mix sound better. I started using this phrase as a guideline in my way of mixing and it has helped me a lot. This has guided me in a lot of choices in life and I still use the phrases when making big and small decisions in life and use it as a guideline for my way of life. And now in my other career, which was followed after the sound engineering career, I still use it for writing reports and essays during my study. Let the tool do the work. End quote. Spoken by my dad as I was sawing a board to build a bird feeder when I was about 9 or 10 years old. It was an instruction to not force the saw into the board but, rather, to guide the saw as it did the cutting. A saw is a tool designed to cut wood. My job is merely to show it where to go. It's funny how I have found let the tool do the work to be applicable to so much of my daily life. It's obviously good advice for working with tools. But I also use it as a sort of mantra when working with people or systems. It's an instruction to not micromanage or force things or people but rather to trust them to do the job. How would you react if man offered you money for cuddling with him for some time? I'd think he had an incredibly poor understanding of both social norms and boundaries and might well be a threat to my well-being as a result. Unless someone makes it known that they're willing to provide some sort of relatively intimate physical contact for money. It's unbelievably creepy to treat them as though they'd be open to that possibility. I decline. I'm engaged to pretty much the only human I'm comfortable cuddling with. As a general rule, I don't like physical touch. Absolutely no. I have nothing against cuddling. For profit or otherwise. But it's not something I would ever do with a stranger. And if, as you said in a comment, it was a friend, I don't think I have any friends I'm close enough with for that. And offering money makes it feel wrong. I'd be more likely to do it if they just asked than if they offered money. My first instinct is no because I'm a small woman and I don't know if it would be a great idea to be that close to a man I don't know. But if I knew him, established boundaries, and the pay was up front, I'd think about it. Especially if it was somewhere where there were other people in the house. Like my roommates. And the door was open. I've considered doing professional cuddling. I have a friend who did it and had good experiences, and would be open to it if the price was right and if there were good protections in place, e.g., client vetting. It would be weird. And probably would have weirded me out too much when I was younger. Now, though, I think if I needed money and wasn't in a relationship, I'd probably do it if the money was good enough. He wasn't absolutely physically disgusting. And I trusted him not to go too far. Or thought I could fight him off if he tried. Or if he was cute enough that I wouldn't mind going farther than cuddling. What is your main source of happiness? My GF. My family and thinking about what I'm passionate about, woodworking. But one of my most fun experiences in recent months was playing squash with a colleague. You should really try something like that. From time to time smile inside. I am often grumpy and unhappy, but this really lifted my spirits. Coming home after a hard week of work. Thinking I will make some good food for the night. Some vodka cola and watch 2 or 3 good movies. But then remembering that I am doing night shift which makes me very tired so I sleep early fast. Sunday is when I do all the things I wanted to do Saturday. Knowing the man who molested me as a child is going prison after his mother passes away. Knowing that my mother who essentially delivered her children to the predator will have the rugged pulled out from under her when the predator goes to prison. She's her other children's problem when that happens. I hope she'll feel the same way I did when I was raised by her. Desolate of hope and drowning in loneliness and depression. Right now, dogs, music and trekking. I go on a trek every few months along with my college group and it just makes me forget all of my troubles. The mountains know nothing about my troubles and don't remind me of them. I'm just focused on completing the trek and enjoying some nice food by the fire in the camp we set up. The feeling like I'm chiseling away at the sculpture of what makes me a better person. I used to be so scared of trial and error, but now I realize that when you're an adult, if the task is challenging, then it must be worth doing. Because you're a competent and intelligent human with 30 years under your belt. That there is nothing left to stop you but the hardest challenges left on this earth to conquer. So, attack those hard tasks little by little, day by day, and enjoy what comes of yourself from it.